Good morning, President Anderson, trustees, faculty, staff, my fellow alumni, family, friends, and most importantly, the class of 2017. After years of hard work, all that stands between you and your diplomas is me. And it's truly an honor to be trusted with those last few minutes of your time as Trinity undergraduates. Now the pressure is on me to leave you with some insight from my own journey since I walked across this stage. And honestly, Naipuni is a really tough act to follow. So congratulations on picking her as your speaker. But when people find out what I do for a living, I often get this question of, what's a smart scientist like you doing working in a place like that? After all, scientists are a lot more popular than politicians. So why did I end up working in Congress? Just a few months before I graduated from Trinity, the world's climate scientists came to the consensus that the balance of evidence suggests a discernible human influence on global climate. Since that time, the evidence has become more convincing. Scientific agreement is even stronger that climate change is real, that it's now primarily caused by us, that it's serious, but that there's hope. You don't have to go too far from this auditorium to see the evidence of solar, wind, and natural gas dramatically reshaping the electricity system in Texas. That same rapid change is happening across America and the world. When I was at Trinity, to use cutting-edge communication technology, I had to go to a special room to send a text-only email. Now I carry a phone in my pocket that I can instantly send to my family in Washington, D.C., a picture of myself puking a rainbow. And I don't know what the puking rainbow of clean energy is, but I know somebody out there is working on it. And when you come back to give the commencement speech here at Trinity, we'll see a dramatically different energy system here in America and around the world. And despite doing my graduate work in Oxford, where often the inertia of history is tangible, as a student of past climate change, I couldn't help but be drawn in to the contemporary political controversy. I think the Texas journalist Molly Ivins summed it up best when she wrote, "You can't ignore politics no matter how much you'd like to." So when the opportunity arose to spend a year working in Congress on energy and environmental policy, I jumped at the chance. It was a new way to explore putting my scientific education to use, and I loved it. But in the first year, in 2002, I learned a career-defining lesson when one of my mentors, slightly upset with something I had done, said to me, "Politics trumps substance." In the moment, it was deflating. You might feel a little deflated now too, that's okay. Here I was, a scientist, trying to make the world a little bit better place through policy. And my mentor was one of the people I respected the most for trying to incorporate the latest science and technology into lawmaking. Was he right? And if so, what did that mean for me? It turns out it is correct, and that can be incredibly frustrating. But it's also now the overarching challenge to my career. How do I make the substance that I care about politically relevant so that we can all come together to advance solutions? And it's not just a question for politics, although it's an important one now. And it's not just a question for the class of 2017. I hope everyone will leave today thinking about how they can make things that you care about relevant to the people that you care about, and how you can help bring people together to find solutions. So I find myself in a career that I never contemplated as a student at Trinity. If you look at my Trinity transcript, you might guess I'd be working on differential equations, not political calculus. But the truth is, my mass media class is as important to my career as my math classes. And I'm going to argue to you today that you don't know yet what was the most important part of your Trinity education. Sure, it's helpful for me to know something about chemistry when I'm thinking about ways to get lead out of drinking water. And my geoscience training helps me understand how unlocking America's shale resources has changed the global energy outlook. But looking back, it was my first year seminar with Dr. William Samuelson, a Holocaust survivor. That's where I first contemplated the use and abuse of technology in society, where I first grappled with questions like, were scientists right to develop atomic weapons? Was our government right to use them? And as a peer tutor for Dr. Susan Siavoshi just a few years later, I had to help other students wrestle with similar questions. Now, questions of technology's role in our society, in our democracy, are ones I confront on a daily basis. You might have a pretty good idea of what you want to do with your life, but I can almost guarantee you that during your time at Trinity, a seed has been planted that will bloom into something you can't even imagine right now. In the spring of my senior year, I went to drop a geology course from Dr. Ed Roy. Even I didn't want to take 16 hours of classes in the spring of my senior year. But during that brief conversation, he said, once I got my PhD, I should think about being a science fellow in Congress. And that's what I did. He planted the seed that ultimately led me to a career that brings so many of my strengths and passions together in a place that I can make my contribution to the world. So class of 2017, the one thing I ask of you today is that you promise me that when that unexpected flower pops up in your life, you will stop and contemplate the new direction it can point you towards. Your Trinity education has prepared you more than you realize to walk off the beaten path. But now it's time to walk on a very well-worn path. So as you walk across the stage, you'll make the journey from student to alumni. And now it's your turn to add to the Trinity legacy. So congrats to the class of 2017. I can't wait to see what you accomplish next.